them as well. What a move for the 48. Oh, look at this, and onto the straight they come.
Brilliant move there from the number 40 to make it through. That left-hander sliding up the inside, going up now over Hawthorne Hill, down Pilgrim's Drop, and it's brilliant stuff here at Brands Hatch.
Halfway through the 2023 Radical Esports Cup UK, it's time to make our way to maybe the most technically demanding stop of the calendar. It's time to land at the Brands Hatch circuit and to let loose the Radical SR10s for another 60-minute dash. Welcome back along to RaceSpotTV for all the action, where my name is Arjuna Kankivadi, joined alongside by the one and only Ewan O'Leary. Do not forget, live timing and scoring available for today's action by heading on to timing.RaceSpotTV, and boy, is it bound to be an interesting one, because a short 4-race schedule, and Ewan, we head into the back half with back-to-back races and a champion to be crowned 7 days from today.
Yeah, it's not long. It's not a long season, and as you say, possibly the most technically challenging circuit on the calendar as well. We're having a bit of a debate about that, but it got, you know, real elevation change around here at Brands Hatch, up and down all the way throughout, blind corners as well. Some very, very high-speed stuff. It could be difficult to overtake here tonight. Qualifying is going to be very, very important, but we know now the sort of the realm of the championships, if you like. We know who's going to be up there and who's going to be challenging for these titles, and it's all to be settled in the next couple of weeks.
Exactly, and you talk about championships, and the first 2 races have been very, very exciting across the 3 classes that we have, but I think we are expecting it to be a little bit more different today in terms of maybe attrition playing its relative part, and then when we go back to Silverstone, Slipstream going to be vital to see how the drivers get their way through the course of what is a 60-minute time race. The qualifying session already in the books for 2 laps and 10 minutes. The drivers get the track to themselves, and then a mandatory pit stop with which they can have free reign as to when they take it. It's all just about when they dive down and to add a little bit of fuel to the fixed setup that they're all dealing with. And of course, the iRating dividing the drivers into their 3 classes, and the winner of each of the classes receives 2 hospitality tickets to see the Radical Cup UK in 2024. And again, 2 rounds done, 2 to go. The drivers all know you and roughly where they stand now.
They certainly do, and certainly the drivers who have been winning a lot, because that has been a bit of a theme over the first couple of rounds so far. And for those who haven't won so far, it's about locating those, of course, who have taken wins and then trying to beat them basically over the course of the day and the last 2 days, because I don't think in this situation, if you want to win a championship, you can't finish behind any of the championship leaders, in whatever category you're in. The championship leader right now is defined by the race winners, basically. That's how it's worked out anyway. And you can't afford to finish behind them again all season long, I don't think, if you're trying to really make up ground in this championship. The gaps have already become a lot too big.
Like you say, each of the championship leaders has grabbed 2 race victories to start the season off, and so as Nathan Moore leads by now 10 points over Crofton Woodhatch, you can see the way that the points are structured means that there's an incentive to winning these races, and Moore has already built up a little bit of a buffer, and then less of a margin back to McCutchinson, to Chris, to Webster, Taylor, Woodward, Maxwell, Dawson and Busen all tied, rather running inside of the top 10. Bit of a breakaway though already building, and that's what you were talking about, Ewan, when it comes to not wanting to finishing behind those at the front.
Yeah, the gap between first and second in terms of points is 4, so it's a real advantage to winning the races, and that's what Nathan Moore has done so well so far. Still behind that though, very clumped in terms of those who are really close in attendance and close to getting to Nathan Moore here, so you just never know what can happen over the course of these final 2 rounds. And things can go wrong, of course. If Nathan Moore has a DNF, for example, then all of a sudden it really is wide open.
Exactly, and that could be something that we see here today. Let's also talk to you about Pro-Am, where it's Ben Cooper that leads after, again, 2 victories on the bounce, but with a slightly bigger margin back to Adam Grevson, who finished 5th in the first race, 2nd in the previous race to leapfrog over James Child and Paul LeMay to grab 2nd in the points. You can see just how clumped up it is behind those running for 2nd, but effectively Ben Cooper needs to run into trouble for him to see his championship charge come unstuck.
Yeah, that would certainly help all the others. There's no question about that. In contrast, by the way, to Nathan Moore, Ben Cooper has actually got all of the points possible from these first 2 races. Nathan Moore missed out on a fastest lap point, so that's where there was a bit of disparity there. And Adam Locke managed to get all of the points as well from the AM standings that we'll see in a moment. So, yeah, that's the kind of difference there, but really dominant so far from all of those championship leaders, and it's given them the situation that we're seeing right now. Things really needing to go wrong for them tonight, or indeed in a week's time, if this championship is going to change hands.
And so a quick look at the AM points as well, where Adam Locke again has maximised the points so far. Scott Norvisa in 31 points behind, also with a double podium, much like with Crofton Woodhatch in the Pro Championship, but those are stories that still have some running to be told. Some great aerial shots at this undulating track. 60 minutes of action. It's going to be a tough one for the drivers to hold on, Ewan.
It is. It's going to be a technical challenge in terms of a solo effort here as well, because just keeping the car on the road throughout this length of time at this circuit, this car is going to be very, very tricky. Never mind throwing about 30 of them onto the road and just expecting them all to get away with it. It's going to be difficult.
So halfway through the 2023 Radical Cup UK, let's run you down through the starting grid, and Nathan Moore once again will lead us to the green. He'll be alongside Matthew Crisp on that front row, with James Dawson and John McCutchinson on the second row behind them. The first of the Pro-Ams, it's Graham Brown in front of Ben Cooper. We'll see how they go in terms of race pace, though, as they rumble their way on through. Already the field is almost fully gridded up, though, so we're going to have to cycle on through Robert Woodward, James Child, and so many more strong drivers. But as you get back to Philip Webb in 17th, he's the first of the AMs, so keep an eye for him. And these are all drivers within 2 seconds of pole position as well. And so you can see there is a little bit of a margin building throughout the entirety of the field. Only 28 drivers with times on the board, and importantly, the likes of Crofton Woodhatch and Adam Locke not setting times. They've got some work to do from the very back. As mentioned, though, they're ready to go. The engines rev. The second half of the 2023 Radical Esports Cup UK is underway, and a great start from the second row. Nathan Moore gets away quite nicely, but Matthew Crisp is going to launch into that first corner down the hill and rising up towards Druids as 30 Radical SR10s get themselves underway. Moore now loses out as Crisp fires it up to the race lead. Down the hill, Moore out wide, trying to hold on to second.
Everyone getting through turn 1 nicely, maybe not through turn 2. There is a spinner in the background. Unfortunately, there has been a bit of an incident, and most of the outfield, I would imagine, has had to slow down as a result. In the second half of the field, we saw the smoke in the background there, and I'm sure it has disadvantaged quite a lot of people, but Nathan Moore got off to a good start initially. In the end, though, it didn't actually turn out that well. Matthew Crisp has gotten ahead of him as far as the timing is concerned, and so he leads the way with everybody strung out behind, very, very close together.
And already Matthew Crisp is building up a bit of an advantage as they run their way in through this middle sector of the lap. Couple of cars at the back of the field running off the track, but no such dramas up towards the front. It's Robert Woodward up the inside of Graham Brown as they rise up through Sheen. This is the technical part where the aerodynamic balance of the car is going to change as well through the undulation, and now side by side continuing to run. Plenty of drama for those just inside of the top 10. End of the opening lap, though. Matthew Crisp says goodbye to those behind. Nathan Moore almost 1 full second off of your leader.
Yeah, top 5 all covered by pro cars at the moment. It's Crisp, Moore, Dawson, McCutcheon and Woodward, the top 5. Then you get into the Pro-Am battles, which are very interesting. That's Martina Ward going way wide through turn 1 and going to get swallowed up now by a couple of drivers at the very least. down the inside also has gone Ben Cooper for the lead in Pro-Am, by the way. The championship leader looking for 3 in a row. And Graham Brown's not going to give it to him easily, but Ben Cooper's going to steal it and he's going to take the lead.
And there's so much going on right now, but not up towards the front. There's the spin, though, and a crucial one. Around goes the championship leader. And contact, nowhere to go for Stephen Hobbs, who ran himself into trouble. And more chaos. We haven't even looked at the replays from the very opening lap, but lap 2, queue up about 5 minutes of the replay carousel.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things to watch here in a couple of moments' time about what's gone on in the opening moments of this race. But Ben Cooper going around, and not only that, he's been hit as well. How much damage is there going to be on that car? I said at the start of the day, these championship leaders do need to be beaten by those who want to take this title of them, and that is still true, but it's certainly going to help if they have incidents like that. Nathan Moore has gotten off to a good start. Adam Locke has had to start from the back of Am, by the way. We covered that in the rundown through the grid, although he is already up to 3rd place in Am. And also, we've just seen Ben Cooper off the road. Drama early on here with only 2 laps complete.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm just trying to queue up a variety of replays to take a look at, but the remarkable thing really is the fact that well, as I hear the klaxon going off on pit lane, that's Januin Preuss that's going to head his way down to the box. Adam Locke started at the back, had to run off the track initially to get through of all the drama, as I hear more drama from Martino Ward, who spun around and watched the rejoin.
Oh dear, that was a bit of avoiding action there from the 954 of Peter Reid, that was. Who had to go around. Stephen Hobbs gaining a place as a result, I think, or the other way around. Yes, Martina Ward spinning right in front of the both of them, or rejoining right in front of the both of them. Unfortunately, not the best moment for her. And so that's well, I'm not sure how she ended up there, but we certainly saw the rejoin.
So let's go back and look at some of the replays on the start then. And this is the initial launch. You'll just see the car sit and wait for the lights to go out. And Nathan Moore initially got off decently, but then is it in through turn 1 where he runs a little bit wide and just opens the door for Matthew Chris to slide on through as Chris punches in the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, he just got wide there, did Moore. Pretty uncharacteristic mistake, and a very odd one as well, considering it's lap 1. You might, forgive that 10 minutes into the race or so, or think that's a bit more common, but no. Oh dear, this was a very awkward start. Is this Adam Locke?
That is Adam Locke, yes it is.
Yeah, I thought it might be, because he had to start from the back row of the grid, and the driver in front just went nowhere. He had to go off the road to try and avoid that. Now, turn 1 was actually quite clean. I was quite impressed around turn 1, but unfortunately, maybe everyone else was too busy being impressed, because it went a bit wrong through turn 2. That's how Adam Locke made up some of his places again, but there were a couple of spins around at Druids for the first time.
And so it was Stephen Koenig, Wayne Basson and Peter Reid that I think got mixed up initially. Phil Webb took avoiding action, and then if you go even further through the replay spool, it's slightly further in through the fast right-hander where one car just runs out wide. That's David Brown showing maybe a little bit of understeer happening there. Just trying to pick through all the different incidents. Don't tell me you're going to go 3 wide into this corner.
Oh my word, that's a tight line, and I'm amazed they made it through. Oh no, they didn't. That's why. Okay, spoke too soon there. Sorry, I've commentated cursed in the past there. That was weird, but anyway, that was as you said, that was never really going to work through that back section of the course.
Oh, and that's another spin. That was James Smaggersgale. And then this is what happened to Ben Cooper. This is crucial because this was A, the spin, and then B, the rejoin, or lack thereof, that saw the contact made.
It's an unforced error, really. And Ben Cooper just tries to reverse out the way just as someone wants to go around the outside of him. And it remains to be seen how much damage he's got there. And there was another crash round the corner as well. And Bodywork getting kicked down the road like an empty can of whatever you'd call it. But anyway, Ben Cooper, there's the reverse. I mean, it's difficult to know where to put the blame there, because in some ways Cooper is right to try and get out the way, but it's he has reversed into someone, so it's difficult to know where to call that. And
as James Pinkerton goes off the track, was running quite decently in the Pro-Am field, got to watch out as there comes those around the outside, including Ben Cooper closing as well. Goodness, so much going on that We're not even 10 minutes into this race, and already 6 cars have had to make trips down to pit lane, including some of those championship protagonists. Crofton Woodhatch is still out there on track, but albeit now 65 seconds down from your race leader, as we watch James Dawson continuing to try and put the pressure onto the back of Nathan Moore.
And even though Nathan Moore's in second place, he's in a great position as far as this championship is concerned. He's ahead of Crofton Woodhatch and John McCutcheon, who are his closest rivals in this championship, of course. The closest driver to him who's ahead of him right now is I'm talking about Nathan Moore. It's Matthew Crisp, who's 14 points back going into the day. There's how Martina Ward ended up here at turn 2. And then there's the rejoin again. We're about to see. She does make an attempt to wait for a space, but unfortunately just went a car or two early.
I got to say, Peter Reid took pretty good avoiding action.
That wasn't bad. Well, at least it wasn't contact, I suppose. He did lose a place though to Stephen Hobbs, I think it was. So that wasn't as ideal, but yeah, at least he's still in the race, which is more than can be said for some.
No, plenty are done and out of this race as side-by-side pro and am driver, so I think you're going to see Darrell Taylor slide on through, and Gabriel Yilmaz has lost the rear end. Ben Cooper will take a position as a result, but this is what we were saying. Tight, technical, twisty track, maybe the one race of the season where attrition's going to play its highest part.
I think, yeah, attrition is going to be highest round here, unless the carnage of Donington is going to supersede that. I'm not entirely sure. I think this will continue though throughout the evening. It's going to be very, very difficult indeed. There is Ben Cooper though. He's 8th currently in Pro-Am. Where are his closest rivals though? That's where he'll be wondering. Adam Grevson came into today closest in the championship. He is going for the lead right now. That's bad news as far as Ben Cooper's concerned. There he is on board with Grevson. He's literally just overtaken Graham Brown, and considering the gap between them, I think there may have been a minor altercation between them.
No, there was just an issue for Graham Brown that we're going to take a look at up in towards Druids, and you can see it's another self-inflicted one, and this time with a slightly cleaner rejoin, but in getting onto the grass, there's going to be the swap around. Grevson's 54 takes the point.
And going into the day, as I mentioned, 13 points behind. He's currently gaining 10 on Cooper. That's exactly what he needs to do going into the final race, because that would set up a winner-takes-all finale next week, which is exactly what we want to see.
Oh, that's Ben Weston, who almost tried to take the Indy layout by accident. No, that's not what you want to do. Left, not right. But yes, we really would love to see at Silverstone a bit of a championship showdown, because while this is all about just staying out of trouble, that is going to be about staying in the draft and being able to use it to your advantage. That's what James Child is trying to do right now as he pops to the outside on Matthew Cheverton, down the run out of the opening corner in towards Druids once again. Covering the inside goes Cheverton. See if there's the opportunity to switch it back as they swing their way down towards Graham Hill Bend.
Yeah, and he's just going to try and work his way. Oh, that was close. He uses that bit of AstroTurf on the right-hand side. That obviously is useful, but it can go wrong very, very quickly. Same here as well as you go into the next left-hander. Turn 4 at Surtees. It's an even more important one, arguably, as he's trying to get a late apex onto this, what you'd call probably the back straight, down the hill towards Hawthorne Bend. But there is Ben Cooper. That's a bit of a surprise to see him in so early.
And the question I really have, is this a long, early stop, or is this a stop necessitated due to the damage that he's incurred, as he's already sat there for 35 seconds. I get the feeling this is not the type of pit stop that Cooper was hoping for.
No, it definitely wasn't. There must be damage on that car as a result of being hit in the side. These cars quite sensitive to damage in that area, in that area. If you hit them sort of front on, or especially rear on, you can get away with it, but not really side on, like we saw with Ben Cooper. As James Child goes wide there, that's all hopes of a position gone for him.
And back up to the Pro-Am lead goes Graham Brown, as Grevson lets him through down through the opening corner. I don't see, by the way, a black flag or a meatball for Ben Cooper, which implies just a long stop. And actually, he is back out on track. He sat stationary for 57.9 seconds.
Yeah, the question for me then is, if he didn't have damage, then why was he in pit lane? First of all, so early, and second of all, for so long. I don't have any answers other than damage.
He must have. You're 100% right. To have sat there for that long, there must have been a bit of damage on the car. and it looks like it's a little bit more clean now. The question will be a lap down from the rest of the drivers. What's he going to be able to do to fight on back over to the pros up front? Matthew Crisp has not broken away from Nathan Moore by any means in the Pearson's number 88, but James Dawson still sits there quite menacingly, you've got to say, in the rearview mirrors of Moore, the championship leader, on board across the line. And you'll see the amount of commitment these drivers have, just down a solitary gear, clattered the curb on the inside, over the runoff on the outside, just maximize the track on offer here at Brands Hatch.
And there is a little bit of track to just over the white lines here at Brands Hatch, especially these days. It's not been tarmacked over, which we're very glad about. It does retain that classic challenge, but it does have these AstroTurf places around. You saw it on the entry and the exit of Graham Hill Bend down there at turn 3. A little bit less of it here, but there are some pretty hefty curves. That one does have a big drop off to the right hand side of it, in fact, but you can get away with running that one. And now we go down the hill towards the GP layout, where admittedly there are a little bit less places for AstroTurf. Here we go through Hawthorne. You can not really go anywhere here, but this is the corner where you certainly can. Through turn 6 at Westfield, right over that AstroTurf on the left-hand side. Then you've got this blind corner at the top up at Sheen, and off the road in front of the leaders has gone someone, don't know who, but it's an easy place to get it wrong.
It could be Phil Webb. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they were able to get through unscathed, and just showing as well the danger of sometimes coming over the top of a blind crest and not knowing what's in front of you.
Was it Wayne Basson? He's gone back to
no,
the pit lane.
he was already in the pit lane. It was Phil Webb indeed.
Okay.
Let's take a look at this replay.
I shouldn't have doubted you, really. Let's see what happened. He doesn't even get on the grass, just gets a bit loose on the way out. And then as we saw him, he was sort of halfway through rejoining again, if you like.
He did do the right thing though, right? Is he spun the car around, lack of traction control, so he got it pointed in the right direction, then let the leaders slide on through before picking up the pieces and rolling from there. So we're about 15 minutes complete, so a quarter of the way through. Did see a comment in the chat pointed out that maybe the longer pit stop from Ben Cooper could have been to fill the car to the end, but for the majority of the cars that have made their pit stop so far, they've been stationary for going on about 20 seconds or so. So the 60-second stop does kind of indicate maybe a little bit more as Adam Locke slides past Ben Bennyworth for 12th overall.
And also, I know that there was nearly 50 minutes in the race to go at the time, but he wasn't putting 50 minutes of fuel worth into the car. He would have had a lot of fuel left in, because he was only racing for 10 minutes, unless there was some sort of catastrophic setup error where he only put his qualifying fuel load in, for example, which just sometimes happen, but you would expect not.
But if it's a fixed setup series, you don't get to choose how much fuel's in the car. So I think they all have about 50 litres there or something like that.
Oh, I also forgot about that.
I had to ask you before we started if this was fixed setup or not. Well, again, by the way, my memory.
To me, fuel load isn't set up really.
True.
It's just necessary.
On iRacing,
it is part.
Yeah, it is part of the fix up. So that is a good point.
I see what you mean.
They would have all started with, I think, 50 litres. Definitely not enough to get them to the end. And I think it's about half a tank, something like that. Again, don't quote me on this. I'm a commentator. I know nothing. I know this. Phil Webb's in the wall. And that's hard.
Yeah, and it doesn't want to be here anymore, I don't think. So that'll be the end for Phil Webb tonight. Clearly not enjoying himself around Brands Hatch. I can't personally blame him. I know some people enjoy this, or quite a lot of people enjoy this circuit actually, but it's one of those circuits where if you're not getting it right, then it's very annoying.
So I think we've got some lap traffic right now. Ben Bennyworth is going to slide up the inside of Ben Weston as they fight their way on through. David Brown flashes the light saying, let me through, I want to fight with my Pro-Am counterpart, but it's not just Pro-Ams to focus the attention on. Adam Locke, after starting at the back, after running off the track in the opening seconds, legitimately, opening seconds of the race, is up to 12th overall, and what? 1.4 seconds off the back of his class leader.
Absolutely unbelievable. It just underlines the sort of season that he's having, Adam Locke. It's been quite remarkable so far. 2 wins out of 2, and pretty comfortable, especially at Snetterton. It was not particularly challenged, And I reckon he'll be knocking on the door of a top 10 by the end of the day. Even though he is an AM driver, of course, I think he'll be right there. And yeah, he is well on course for an AM title, surely.
The classes are all determined by iRatings, and so again, iRating is just a number. It doesn't always go to show how quick they can be in their respective cars. Just watch into the opening corner here, by the way. Oh, that was scary. And this is, again, traffic playing its part. It's traffic that's going to be its most precarious, I think, here, at least compared to Silverstone in the second half of the season. I do admit that Donington and Snetterton are by no means easy to navigate through traffic, but I don't know. Am I being overly simplistic here, Ewan, in saying that it's easy to get through traffic at Silverstone?
Maybe slightly under-egging it, but I still think it's a lot easier than this. There's no question about that in my mind. I think I agree. I think this is the hardest place to work your way through on the calendar. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but some may disagree. You know, Donington and Snetterton certainly do fit that similar mould, though, of slightly smaller British racetracks compared to Silverstone, which is really these days the only racetrack you could have a big F1 race on, for example. But
I don't know. Let's take them to Brands Hatch. Come on, Ewan.
I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun, but I just don't think it would happen. So, unfortunately. So yes, I agree, in short. Yeah, I think this is probably the hardest place to work through. And already there is a lot of traffic about because of the opening 20 minutes that we've seen.
Quick look at the track conditions. You can see just how cool it is. So if you get the tyres up into their temperature window, there's plenty of grip with which you can work. And 2 p.m. in the virtual fall. It's quite nice. But you mentioned traffic, and yeah, the track map is a pretty good illustration of that. Just look at how they're all just kind of broken about right now. Yes, there are some pockets here and there, but by no means are you ever going to be comfortable, and you always just need to be keeping that in mind. Back over, though, to the fight for the AM lead, because here comes Adam Locke onto the back of Jake Pitt.
It feels pretty unbelievable that he's already there trying to take the race lead away. Here in the AM category, he will have pressure behind from the likes of Ben Benioff. David Brown is there, Darrell Taylor not too far away either. You can see the three of them just in the background of that shot there, but Adam Locke is going to hope to be clear of Jake Pitt even before that. He's got quite good straight line speed actually here as Adam Locke, which is pretty surprising around Brands Hatch. You would normally want to put a lot of downforce on here, but clearly he might have gone for just a little bit less than those around him, just to give himself that little bit of an edge when trying to overtake, but he's not been able to use that into turn one, and already is looking like a very long race for Jake Pitt if he's going to hang on here.
In towards the middle part of the lap again. We don't turn right into the Indy layout, instead left through the Grand Prix loop out through Surtees. And this is where as well draft is playing its part. That's where if the cars do have, that little bit more downforce on, then potentially the hole in the air is just being that little bit more important. And a little bit wide there for Pitt. Door not opened as now. This is where the technical nature of the track is at its most apparent. You're going to come over the crest, over the top of Sheen, and the car is going to go light as the air underneath starts to play its part through, but they all get through relatively tidily. And I've got to say, quite impressed that even though Pitt's now got some pressure, Adam Locke's not necessarily putting him off just yet.
Well, not yet, but there's still 40 minutes to go is my concern, because that's a very, very long way to have to defend for. Ben Benioff's gone off the road at the final corner. Oh no, he hasn't. He's gone in the pit lane. That's why. It's a very easy corner to get wrong, so I just presumed he might have gone off, but he's in pit lane. Still very early, to be fair, for Ben Benioff, but not out of the realms of the pit window, I wouldn't say. We've done a third of the race. It's not outrageously early, as we saw with Ben Cooper, for example.
Yeah, Ben Cooper, I think, again, did have damage, but should have fuel to get to the end. The question is he going to be on the leading lap or not? Ben Benioff has been in the box for 21.7 seconds, so that seems to be around that benchmark again. 20 seconds or so should be enough fuel to get you towards the end. Now, Jake Pitt's got some traffic, I think, in front of him. As Paul Clark is 2.5 seconds down the road. I just can't quite pick out who it is. It's Wayne Basson, who has also done his mandatory pit stop, so will be full of fuel. Side by side they'll run almost up in towards Sheen.
Well, if he made it round the outside there, then Adam Locke deserved to be given the title right now, because that would have been very impressive. in the end, he's shut out, blocked out, and there's no surprise about that. Will he make an early pit stop as well, just to get out of this bit of traffic, because it's quite congested round here, not least with Jake Pitt just up in front, but all of the other lap traffic as well. And we've already seen one of the drivers in the train looking to do exactly that, although not on the lead lap, of course, and not with these guys, so they don't gain an overall place with that car going down pit lane. Baston's still in front of them here, and that might help Adam Locke. No, he tried to look the inside there,
well,
and if he was a bit more convinced of it, then he might have been able to do that, but no.
I've just got to say, I don't really know what Wayne was necessarily doing there, where he's legitimately blocking at times the AM drivers behind. Finally, Pitt will slide on through, but it's broken up the battle between him and Locke somewhat as they cycle back out on towards the back straightaway. But yeah, lights were flashing. I think tempers are somewhat flared, and we'll take a look at that replay in a few moments' time. Before we grab a look at that, Crofton Woodhatch, oh, he's run wide and into the wall.
Oh dear, that's not good news. I mean, it already wasn't, if I can word my put my words in the right order. It already wasn't a very good day for him. This has made it even worse. He's got over that curve at the start. He's in the AstroTurf from the outside, which normally isn't a bad thing, but he's picked up the throttle. He's got a bit loose, can't save it, and straight into the wall. To be fair, if you're getting that loose around that corner, you're either going to end up in the inside wall or the outside by overcorrecting, so it's just a case of which one he was going to end up in.
And before we go and look at the sequence that we were just watching through traffic, Jake Pitts just had a moment. Ewan?
Oh, my word. That was an unbelievable save.
I mean, oh.
Very, very good reactions.
That's not a place you want to be snapping the car like that and having to bring it back under control, to put it mildly.
No, he almost snapped his arm saving it. Never mind the car snapping. It's unbelievable reactions, but he's held on to it. And actually, he may have got a bit excited because he got a bit of a gap actually as he passed Wayne Basson. There's the move again, or the little look, and he wasn't pleased with this at all. He was flashing the lights for a good couple of corners.
I mean, okay, so maybe the onboard doesn't quite say it. Let's look from up above. Now, the traditional line is not to come off the left side of the track on the run into the corner. That, I think, was Wayne being a little bit overprotective, potentially, of that position, knowing there's a battle behind. Now, I don't want to throw Wayne under the bus. I just want to be clear. I just want to say that maybe Jake thought that gap was his and he was always going for it.
Very diplomatic of you.
Well, I
yes,
did just throw him under the bus, so I mean, I got to walk it back slightly.
I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but I actually am. No. I mean, look, yeah, I think it was probably a little bit over defensive from a lapped car to do that. So yeah, bit of a shame, but you know, he's been cleared now, and it hasn't affected the battle too much in the end. So that is a good thing, at least with the outcome. So that's a good thing as we go back to a battle for third place in Pro-Am. Cheverton and James Child and Paul Clark. Well, Paul Clark not right behind them, of course, but trying to catch up to them anyway. There's someone else behind them instead, a lapped car that's another one. There's only 18 on the lead lap already. We're not even halfway through.
It's Ben Cooper, I do believe, who's at least getting to see how fast he would be running with the rest of the Pro-Am class, albeit, again, a lap down. So minimal points coming out of this race, and it'll be an interesting championship hunt going into the final race of the season, but there's a ways to go in this one before we can think about that, and a pretty short turnaround before that final race of the season. There's been a couple of gaps between rounds 1, 2, and 3. And we'll go in 7 days' time next Friday to crown our champions at Silverstone.
Yep, we will. And looking forward to that now, especially in Pro-Am, actually. The Pro and the Am championships are looking good for the title leaders, but for this one, it's looking very, very interesting indeed. And this is not helping Ben Cooper either. It's giving him a real conundrum. Does he try and get involved here, unlap himself and get away? Is he confident he can get away? Or does he or does he have to stay behind here and just wait? That's the conundrum, and I wouldn't really want to be him in this situation. It's not an ideal place to be.
The great thing about this series, though, the Radical Cup Esports UK, is that even with a high level of difficulty with the car combo that we have today, there's still battles up and down through the field, not just at the front where Matthew Crisp continues to break away, now 3.5 seconds clear of Nathan Moore, close in pursuit from, of course, James Dawson, but we're watching this fight in Pro-Am. We've got the fight for the Am lead as well. And increasingly, Adam Locke getting closer and closer to the rear bumper as Matthew Crifts goes faster yet, a 1:18.549. You can tell that the pace is definitely still out there on the track.
It is, and Chris will be wondering where this pace was at Snetterton and Donington, I'd imagine, because he really could have challenged Nathan Moore in that case, especially at Snetterton, where he really wasn't anywhere near Nathan Moore at any point in that race. He was just a long way back. In the end, finishing actually better than he did at Donington. But yeah, last race around, he really could have done with being a bit closer. This is a bit of a last-ditch effort, really, and he's a long way back for that kind of thing. So he is leading now, at least, but it may be all a bit too little too late as far as the championship is concerned, as Adam Locke is exercising his advantage in the championship there by letting David Brown through, as he otherwise might not have been so forgiving there.
Exactly, the long way around through turns 1 and 2, and Adam Locke giving just enough room for the Pro-Am driver to get on through. Now remember that does not cost either of them points. You're scoring point in your own class. Now it does mean that there's a little bit more of a separation between Adam Locke and Jake Pitt, the driver who would be scoring points in that battle. Do get the sense, though, that halfway through this race, surely the pit stops are going to come in a bit of a flurry. Here comes Nathan Moore, championship leader in the pros, as he brings the Pearson's 88 into the box.
Probably a good idea to be early as well, because we saw right behind him James Dawson was getting a bit threatening, and John McCutcheon had caught them as well. McCutcheon was just under a second behind, or still is under a second behind Dawson actually, so that was getting a bit worrying for Moore, and now he's resolved that. Here goes the lead battle in Am. That was all very close. David Brown's got its way through. Adam Locke has decided he doesn't want to be here anymore.
I think that was maybe a bit of the camera angle giving us a little bit more consternation than we needed to. Although, as we now catch up back up with Nathan Moore rejoining from pit exit after 33 odd seconds from cone to cone. So after getting onto the limiter, after getting off of the limiter, he's come out directly behind a bit of a battle as the 38 of Stephen Kernick gets shoved out just a little bit wide. Paul Clark yet to come down pit lane, trying to hold on for the time being. Adam Locke, by the way, has finished his pit stop cycle 19.6 seconds stationary. He'll be hoping he doesn't feed out into traffic.
That's exactly what he's done, though. There's about at least 3 just in front of him here for Adam Locke. Patrick Reed being one of them, who's right up in front at the moment. That's not particular. Peter Reed. I keep saying Patrick Reed, don't I? Peter Reed, sorry, just up in front of Adam Locke, and that's not going to be ideal at all. Then a couple of lapped cars as well, who will he'll be hoping at least get out of the way, but whether they do or not is another story as we reach the halfway mark of this race.
So we've got the car that's already pitted at the top, the car that we're waiting to see pit on the bottom, as Woodward and Grevson will come down to the lane. Interesting to see that Pitt doesn't come in this time. He's going to give it a lap or two before he responds. If Adam Locke is truly faster than Jake Pitt, the undercut could be the move that helps him get back to the front, and without having to make a wheel-to-wheel pass out on track like Nathan Moore is really having to do as he looks to the inside down through Graham Hill Bend. Paul Clark proving to be a tougher nut to crack than he was thinking it would be. Yeah,
and he is pretty well known for being quite defensive, is Paul Clark. I feel like he's toned it back in recent months, but he is still a pretty difficult customer to try and overtake. This time it's going to be a little bit easier, though. This is a bit of smart race tactics really from Paul Clark. Knows that doesn't really need to defend. Maybe he would have done in years gone past, but not now, letting Nathan Moore go through. And it's good timing for the championship leader, because the front 3 are in. Chris, Dawson and McCutcheon all make their way onto pit lane simultaneously, and maybe they'll leave like this as well.
So now we'll get to see a bit of an interesting blend, won't we, as we wait to see the Pearson's 88, which has been marred in plenty of traffic, already off and away for Chris. That was somewhat expected. The question really is going to be for Dawson, who gets jumped by McCutcheon. Very, very interesting, as Moore's already up to speed. He emerges behind. That was maybe expected. The jump from McCutcheon, though, to second is a surprise, and up in towards Druids, it will still be a 3-car fight for second, but with now the orange 69 at the point.
Well, he saved a second by well, I'm going to presume, taking some fuel out maybe. Has he got enough to the end? You'd imagine so, but he's going to run the risk a little bit by just taking that second less time on pit lane, getting that track position, and then trying to hold on to it. Did notice that John McCutcheon got stronger as the race went on, actually, or the first stint went on, so let's see how he develops as he tries to hang on to that second place.
And so we watch the blend for the AMs. There's Adam Locke already out of the pit lane, of course, and directly behind Jake Pitt. So out in towards Druid. They'll be side by side for the AM lead. Long way around with the tyres up to temperature. Locke gets hung out to dry. Doesn't have the overlap as we plunge down into Graham Hill Bend, but it's just these two. No cars necessarily on either side of them as they run their way in towards Surtees.
Yeah, that was the chance really at turn 2, and there was another one there for Adam Locke, but he doesn't want to risk it all to try and go through here, and that's the advantage that Jake Pitt has got. If he really wants to be aggressive in defence, then he's going to be the last one to back out, I'm sure of that. Adam Locke will want to go through though, and he's on the outside now on the way towards Hawthorne. Round the outside he's going to try and go. What a move that would be! Oh, and there's very nearly contact as well. Jake Pitt still on the inside, and Locke does manage to go right round. Very impressive move. He did end up taking a bit of a risk in the end, but it's paid off.
And James Dawson's up to second in front of McCutcheon, as now Moore's joined the fun for second as well. So we've got plenty of fighting to keep our eyes on, but with championship implications in mind, can Adam Locke go 3 for 3 and somewhat lock the championship up before we even get to the final round of the season? That's what he's hoping for. Contact between McCutcheon and Dawson though, and around the outside, bold and brave, McCutcheon back to second.
Very, very aggressive, but John McCutcheon's up to second, and surely that is going to just increase tensions now in this group. And what's Nathan Moore going to do here? Does he get involved or not? If I was the championship leader in this situation, I would see these two in front and think, absolutely not, I'm getting involved in that, because these two have got accident written all over them. They certainly did in towards Hawthorne on that occasion. That was very close, but the aggression in the end paid off for John McCutcheon.
The crucial thing in that as well is that now as Moore sits behind, they've lost even more ground to your race leader. A full second lost on that lap, and Matthew Crisp has got 26 minutes to ride out this 5-second buffer at the very front of the field, deep under the brakes as they run up the hill. I thought Dawson for a second there was just going to clip the gearbox of McCutcheon, but they all slowed it down just in the nick of time. Oh, it's going to be tense to the end, you have to believe that. Back over with the AMs, and already a bit of a breakaway forming here. Locke has jumped in front, and Darrell Taylor, who's a pro car, so remember, no points being taken away for Jake Pitt in losing out a overall position to the number 12, has slotted in between the two AM contenders.
I don't think Darrell Taylor's especially enjoying himself around here, if I'm honest. He's struggling back in the packs. By the way, I'd just like to congratulate you on a streak of 2 name wordplay puns in 2 sentences.
Wait, what did I say?
That was quite impressive. You said Adam Locke locking the championship and Nathan Moore looking for more or something. As John McCutcheon goes off and James Dawson goes through. No puns made out of his name, but he is into second.
I didn't even realise it. Oh, look how punny I am. I've got to send myself to the pun jail as well. Dawson's going to try and take advantage of this. If Moore can't get through, McCutcheon looking a little bit unsteady right now, all things considered. Around the outsides, brave in through the opening corner, and the championship leader backs out as you'd expect.
Yeah. He doesn't want to risk it round the outside, and John McCutcheon will be sort of aggressive in that way just to sort of put off Nathan Moore from trying to go round him on this occasion. He'll have his eyes set forward anyway, will John McCutcheon here. He'll want to take back that second place from James Dawson, although I think Dawson will be stronger at this end of the stint. We saw this at the start of the race. Dawson and Moore were stronger than McCutcheon, but as the race and the stint went on, McCutcheon got stronger, so I wonder whether that will happen again in the second stint.
You can see the sun is also playing a bit of a part for those that are racing in virtual reality. It will be somewhat blinding over a variety of the entries and exits that you try to focus your attention towards, and so it'll be interesting to hear from the drivers if that was something that played its part. Croston Woodhatch, another driver to have gotten in front of Jake Pitt, along with Graham Brown, so there's not much happening in terms of these little swap arounds for points, again, because you're only scoring points between those in your own class, but increasingly Adam Locke is separating himself from Jake Pitt behind, and I think that gap is now up to almost 3 or 4 full seconds.
Yeah, it's a big gap, and it's only going to extend if you've got cars between you as well. It's only going to get even more difficult for Jake Pitt here as he's letting a few drivers through, being overtaken of course as well, and it's becoming an even more difficult task as Crofton Woodhatch, as he goes down the inside of Graham Brown there at Westfield and gets up another place. That's into 13th overall as he looks to take another point off Daryl Taylor.
That's the target for Woodhatch again after not qualifying, starting down in 29th position. He's not going to have as successful a charge on forward as Woodhatch in terms of points, albeit maybe still has a chance to move a little bit more forward up through the running order with the close of the race still not that far away. 23 minutes ago, traffic still a bit of a factor for your battle for second, as that's a bit of consternation and indecision there as James Dawson finally decides to slide up the inside in through Westfield. It's allowed McCutchinson to close back up though. It's allowed them to concertina towards each other in the battle for second.
Yeah, he wasn't sure about that at all into Westfield was James Dawson, but he gets through. And now he's got even more defending to do. 6.5 seconds is the gap to Matthew Crisp. Surely they're not worrying about that anymore. It's just the three of them that they're worried about now. 2 podium places up for grabs, but only 3 of them, of course. And so someone's going to miss out here. At the moment, Nathan Moore is going to. And if things stay as they are, his points lead is going to be slashed to just 6 points, which would be not especially concerning, but it's about, well, less than half of what it was at the start of the day.
It's not comfortable, is what I would probably say.
Really?
Especially knowing that if you've lost 6 points here, you can very easily lose another 6 points. And, well,
no, he's lost 7 here, so I see what you mean. He could lose another 7
exactly,
and then lose.
Yes. No, sorry. Yeah,
yes.
I misstated myself. Exactly. 7. He's lost 7, not 6. But the point being, even if this is with Nathan Moore not having a bad race. This is Nathan Moore still finishing and finishing in 4th position. Imagine if he got caught up in some traffic. Imagine if, like Woodhatch, maybe he runs afoul of qualifying and has to start at the very back of the field.
And he still can. Let's not forget in this race. There's still a long way to go.
Don't you commentators curse him.
No, I'm not trying to, but there's still more than a third of the race to go, and so you just don't know. But what's going to happen? As Daryl Taylor has been slipped by Crofton Woodhatch and Graham Brown now, but that was into turn 3. But yeah, it could happen. It could still happen to Nathan Moore here, and it could happen in the next race as well, as you say, because he is only 7-8 seconds off the lead, but losing that amount of points nevertheless.
That's a little bit of a barge, and why am I not surprised to see the universal sign of a driver thrilled with how they were just passed on track. The flash of the headlights from Daryl Taylor, and again, remember, Woodhatch there was passing for points, so that is important between the two of them.
Yes, that was a point exchange between the two of them. That increases Woodhatch's tally. He's up to 6th place now, but still losing 2 to Nathan Moore on a day where he really needed to gain them. I said at the start of the day, anyone wanting to take the championship off of the current leader needs to beat the current leader on both of the remaining races, and at the moment Crofton Woodhatch is not doing that, and he's going to slip to 12 points back for the final round.
We'll talk plenty, I'm sure, about points in that final race of the season. We'll try and do it across of all the different storylines, because yes, there's championships to be handed out, but some of these drivers are just trying to finish the season off with some decent points, such as Scott Novisa and Janeman Preuss, who fight for 18th and 19th positions, and are going to get ready to potentially slide their way on slightly closer to those in front, because I see Martina Ward has been off the track yet again. It's been a difficult day for plenty of the drivers here today. Ward, of course, experienced some dramas in the opening laps, and it's not in through turn 1, so might be in through turn 2.
Could be on the way, yeah, just too fast on the way in, braking a bit too late, going for a spin. The car can't quite keep it onto the road. Bit of a half spin around, and a better rejoin on this occasion, which is good to see. But yeah, just going a bit too fast on the way up the hill in towards turn 2. You can brake late up there, of course, because it is an uphill braking zone, but not quite that late.
Yeah, gravity helps you, right? Works in your favor as you climb up through into the braking zone. But one of those corners where, as you get off the brakes, as you level off as well, it's that transfer of weight that plays its part. Of course, as you release the brake, it springs back the car, and just losing out there. 6.5 seconds, the margin at the front. It's one of those days where for Matthew Crisp, it's a good thing when we don't talk about you, because it means you're at the front and running away. And hopefully 18.5 minutes before we take another look at that car coming across to see the checkered flag. Similar sort of situation to Adam Grevson, who amidst all of the mad scrambles at the start of the race, I think also taking advantage of the pit stop cycle, has built up the buffer in the Pro-Am category here, Ewan. He's what, 4.5 seconds clear of Matthew Cheverton behind.
And he's really gaining points on Cooper as well in the lead of this championship. I'm going to properly do the maths on that in a moment, but it's got to be he's got to be closing in. There is Ben Cooper, now 21st. Not even sure whether he can make it to the end of the race, to be honest. I'd imagine he will be able to, but I'm just not sure because he pitted so early.
It's a good point, actually. It should be okay, is my hope, but that would be awful and not great to have to come down back onto lane morale-wise, as Nathan Moore's in front now of McCutchinson, so maybe a slight mistake from the 69 machine has allowed the championship leader to slide back on through, and that's what, a crucial point that goes back in the direction of the Pure Sims machine.
Yeah, and I imagine that was sort of sparked by either a McCutcheon mistake or more just turning up the wicket, and it was a McCutcheon mistake just on the exit of turn 2. It just gets a little bit loose and gives over the place basically in one go there. Not ideal. There it is. Just has to lock up the front left to keep it all on the straight and narrow, and Nathan Moore needs no second invitation. To be honest, I did think it was going to have to take a low percentage, sorry, not a low percentage, high percentage, low risk move, if you like. I didn't think Nathan Moore was going to lay it all on the line, and if you're going to make moves around here, you generally do have to do that.
On a bad move, though, so gets through safely as they flirt with the gravel on the outside of the opening corner. Graham Brown, by the way, has passed Adam Locke, the AM class leader, so Locke now only has Daryl Taylor between him and Jake Pitt chasing down for the AM lead of the third round of this Radical Esports Cup UK. Again, just a reminder, we're back in a week's time from Silverstone for the final 60-minute dash. Each of our championship winners get 2 hospitality tickets to a Radical Cup UK round of their choice in 2024, and yeah, there are so many different Radicals. This, of course, the Radical SR10 that has plenty of power for everyone to enjoy. I think we're talking, what, going on, it can do lap time similar to a GT3 machine, going on 400 plus horsepower, 700 odd kilograms. And so, yeah, very impressive kit. And that's the thing that you have to remember. These are basically the only ways that if you want to become a prototype racer that you can kind of understand what skills you need to go fast in those cars.
That's a very good way to learn. Not of course the only Radical in iRacing, by the way, but this one does look very modern, doesn't it, to me? This newer version of the Radical looks like a good stepping stone towards LMP3, if you like, and we have talked about this before, but it is a good way to start out in prototype racing with the Radical. Some people, to be fair, don't really want to move up further than this to, you know, LMP3, LMP2 and GTP and all that kind of stuff. You know, just want to stay in the Radical, and that's fair enough as well. There's plenty of enthusiasts who just enjoy racing this car, and why not as well, because it does race very well, it drives well these days as well, and especially the SR10 drives a lot better these days, and so it produces fantastic racing.
There is something about an open wheel, or open cockpit car as well that I think appeals to plenty, and so maybe that's part of this. Now, this is technically a 2-seater, so as that's a puff of smoke. The car's running wide to avoid Gabriel Yilmaz, who rejoins. He's 6 laps down and just trying to salvage some points and a result on the day. But yeah, Ewan, could we convince you to jump into the right seat of one of these Radicals?
The right seat. I presume you mean
well, Ewan,
positionally right.
Yes. No, I mean legitimately right seat.
Yes. On the well, I thought you meant right versus wrong seat.
Oh, yeah, I see what you
right
mean.
Versus
yes,
left.
No, I mean this seat, not this seat. I'll take the steering wheel. You'll take this side. How about that?
Give me the pedals on the other side. That'd be a good idea.
Oh, that's a Top Gear episode if I've ever heard one.
That sounds like a bad idea, but yes, well, maybe it's probably scary, if I'm honest, especially around Brands Hatch when you go around that blind corner at Sheen, for example, or somewhere else. It's probably very scary, but you've got to experience it, haven't you? It'd be a laugh.
Just to be clear, since I do now live in the in one of those countries where you drive on the wrong side of the car. I grew up in Singapore. You sit on the right side with the wheel. That's normal. Right side of the car, left side of the road. That is the correct way to do things.
Although we are in the minority in the
no,
world,
I know, but it's still the correct way to do it. I mean, I'm just saying.
Say minority of the world, mostly because all of the major I say major countries, I mean by population.
Right.
I think the 3 biggest countries in the world all drive on the right, which doesn't help.
Yes, no. I think America just does it to spite everyone, to spite the English as well, you know. So the one thing is, Ewan, the Americans have contributed to driving society that everyone should adopt is a free turn. I guess it would be free turn left on a red for you. It's a free turn right for us in the US. That is a game changer, legitimately.
Yeah, if you are turning right, I guess it is. It's difficult for me to get my head wrapped around that, to be honest. Running a red light and it's just fine.
Well, so here's the thing. So growing up in Singapore, you wouldn't have had to do that because basically every intersection had a designated actual, whatever you call it, exit quote. It's not an actual exit, but like a way for you to...
bit.
Yeah, exactly. Turning
Lane.
bit. A pedestrian walkway as well. Like it was a guaranteed way that you feel safer walking across the road because Singapore is quite nice in that way. But that's maybe the only reason why you wouldn't want it. The one thing that the US doesn't know how to deal with, Ewan, is roundabouts.
No, I've seen a video of that.
Oh, have you?
I don't know if it's fake or not, but it's quite funny.
Oh, you're gonna have to send me this video
They're
afterwards,
going in
by the
all
way.
sorts of directions, and yeah, it's quite amusing. But people have probably seen it, to be fair.
You're going to have to go find it and send it to me because I love a good video about people struggling at roundabouts. On board with Nathan Moore, by the way, he's on the back of Dawson, and much like what Ewan was mentioning earlier, don't think he's going to force the move, but if there's a mistake, Moore's pretty steady in this car, clearly comfortable now with the balance, even if the speed isn't necessarily all there, and if the mistake presents itself, you don't have to ask Moore twice. He'll slide on through and grab those valuable championship points.
And yeah, I think to your point, he's going to try and to put those two words together. He's going to try and force Dawson into some sort of mistake here. He's not going to go round the outside of Hawthorne there. I think that would be very, very over-ambitious from him on that occasion, and he doesn't want to take that kind of risk either. But if Dawson were to run just a little bit wide through there, he might have had the run for the inside at Westfield, and he might have fancied his chances there. He's not going to recklessly go for this. He's going to be calm and considered as always, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do come home like this. It's a case of whether Dawson makes a mistake or not, really.
You say that, but I mean, Moore's looking inside and out, just trying to set something up. He might not go for it, but this sort of pressure is relentless, and we still got 10 minutes to go. He's alongside, though. He's more than alongside. He's there, backs out of it, down through turn number one, just to make sure there's enough room. But as they rise up towards Druids, it's the championship leader back up into second. And after starting on top, Nathan Moore's had a quiet day, but staying out of trouble, and may not make it 3 for 3, but second best will still be good enough.
Yeah, see, if this is round one, Nathan Moore is going to be a lot more aggressive than that in his attempts to overtake. He's going to be later on the brakes at turn one, for example. I think it would have taken a little bit less time than it eventually did for him to make his way through. So he is into second place now, and that's probably all he can hope for from today, although the gap was decreasing actually to Matthew Crisp, who was losing time for some reason. I think he may have had some traffic in front, because I think I could see a couple of cars between Crisp and Moore here, so maybe that was the reason. Yeah, I can see a couple of AMs in there, and they may be fighting as well, so that might have been a bit of a problem for Crisp, but 6 seconds should still be enough at this stage of the race.
Here are the two AMs that I think Moore, Dawson and McCutcheon will have to pass as well. It's Scott Navesa and Janneman Preuss who are fighting for 17th overall, and what I believe is actually third in class, so there's some decent points up for grabs here, and by no means are they going to want to just pull aside and let those second, third and fourth drivers in Pro slide their way on through as well. A fight for third in Pro is effectively worth as many points as a fight for third in AM.
Yeah, exactly. Just as valuable to each of the championship charges in this season. So very much points worth having, very valuable points, of course, as well, and especially important for Scott Novesa, actually, who is still, of course, second in the championship, and I believe would be at the end of today if things were to stay as they are as well. He came into today only 11 points behind Adam Locke. He would lose another 5 or 6 here, but he's about to be losing another point as well, because he's off the podium now in AM.
Nice little slide on through, but is there a move back up the inside? I mean, he thought about it, Novesa, but didn't commit to it. And as Nathan Moore closes.
Oh, look at Moore.
Yeah, they're right there as well. This is a treacherous place to catch over the top of Sheen, with Preuss running just that little bit wide and onto the grass. These drivers have already lost about half a second, almost up to a full second, as they run into the final quarter. Lights flash from Moore. One driver peels out of the way.
Yeah, I guess we can conclude that this is where Crisp lost the time then, because they would have been fighting pretty much just as hard 5 minutes ago when Crisp was trying to make his way through, and now Nathan Moore experiencing the same thing as well. He's got to be very thankful, actually, that Novesa got out of the way when he did, because if that went on any longer, then Moore would have had Dawson right on the back of him all over again.
Is it going to be into Graham Hill Bend where they swap back around? Nope, Moore still stuck behind. Allows Dawson to close just that little bit more, but it's going to be the inside look for Surtees that allows the Pearson's driver to slide on through. And on corner exit, Dawson slightly compromised. He now has to slide alongside and is going to lose a little bit of draft and momentum. McCutcheon closes. We may see more of a fight for third. Although McCutcheon around the outside is going to have to be brave.
John's not going to be very pleased about that, and there's no flash of the lights, but I'm sure there is in his head. Now he'll go down the inside at Westfield. He overshoots a little bit, in fact, but that was not especially helpful from not Scott Novesa, who was already past. Janneman Preuss it was, who was not being particularly hospitable, let's say, to Dawson and McCutcheon there, who had to really fight for that, and Moore did as well, to be fair, but you can understand why, because they are in a fight for third in AM.
So 6 minutes to go, probably around 6 laps to go as well, just based on the margin that Matthew Crisp enjoys at the front of the field. Cycle through some of the fights further back, because here's James Child on the back of Cheverton, fight for second and third positions. We've got some margin back to those behind, but David Brown, Graham Brown, they're fighting for a 10th and 11th overall, for 4th and 5th in class, as that's Gabriel Yilmaz has gone around again.
And that's the same corner again. Seen that already here today from him. So unfortunately, I'd imagine it's happened in a very similar way as well, just to end up on the inside of Westfield Bend. It's a difficult corner. In fact, the rate at which those kind of things have been happening has slowed a little bit, actually, but unfortunately for Yilmaz, not slowed enough. And now, with another little bit of lap traffic, Nathan Moore's not having very good luck with this, because Dawson is back on the back of him again.
I think maybe it is also just the realization from Moore, though, that there's nothing to risk in traffic as they just clatter over the inside curb into the final sector of the lap. You can just see there are some curbs that you use, there are some that you want to be a little bit more careful with how you bump your way over them with this fixed setup in the Radical SR10. Patience onto the throttle required out of the final corner, as to the line once more. 1:19.355 for Moore, a 1:19.006 for Dawson, so gained about 3/10 on that lap alone. Just the indication of how traffic can potentially cost you. McCutcheon's not close enough, though, to really make it a three-way fight just yet. Oh, do you think Dawson has enough? Because you made quite correctly, I think, that point earlier that Dawson's been great at the start of the stints, maybe not so great towards the end of the stints.
But to be fair, I thought the same about Moore in some ways. I thought McCutcheon was stronger than both of them, actually, towards the end of the first stint of the race. Whether there's long enough for that to really matter now, I'm not sure, because McCutcheon's a second and a half back. So I'm not really sure, to be honest. But, well, that could help. Well, someone's been off the road, clearly up through Hawthorne, and they've got out of the way in time. I think Dawson will be a bit more aggressive than Moore is willing to be, but Moore looks a little bit stronger at this stage. Has Dawson got anything to be even close enough to attempt this kind of thing? I'm not entirely sure, really. It's looking more and more likely with every corner. Moore is just seems to be getting a bit better as this race goes on.
Yeah, and maybe it is also just a function of the tyres at this point, right? They've run so long. Have they put too much through the Hankook tyres underneath them. That's a big issue out of the final corner. And as Ben Cooper slides past Stephen Hobbs and Scott Novesa, there's been so much drama today. 30 started. We are still going to see a good 25 or so of them finish this race up, but with only 15 of them left on the leading lap.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but there's it's like a proper 2000s engine failure that's happening somewhere, because it's smoke everywhere, and I don't know where from. But anyway, it doesn't seem to be affecting anyone we've been watching so far, so that's all right. Ben Cooper has gotten himself through into 18th overall now. I think that puts him 9th in class. It does. Oh, that's not. Oh, well, that is awkward though. Not ideal.
Oh!
And Hobbs will try and go through. Oh, there's contact.
Oh, but I gotta say, they get through as cleanly as you could hope for after all of that plays itself out. Up the inside of the lap machine, Hobb back in front of Cooper momentarily. With 3 minutes to go, only a handful of laps to run. These drivers are all on top of one another. They're hoping just to not be collected as, oh, poor Yilmaz off at the same corner again. And I believe it was Yilmaz that we saw off slightly earlier at a slightly different corner. 3 minutes to go, though, and still everywhere you look, there are drivers fighting for championship points heading into the final round of the season.
And there could still be 3 laps to go here. It's going to be quite close as to whether Crisp is taking the penultimate lap or the third last one there. I think it could be the third last lap. I think we could still have 3 laps to go here, and he's going to cross the line with mere seconds remaining. And Crisp could well give Dawson an extra lap, an extra opportunity to try and go through on Nathan Moore here. All of a sudden he is closer again. I don't think traffic's going to play much of a role anymore. I think that might be in the past, but there are a few cars not too far in front. Are they going to get there before the end of the race though?
Just looking at the lap times, I don't think they will. At least not on this lap. That will be maybe their saving grace, something that they will just be keeping in mind. It's happened to Ben Cooper, by the way, because I see on my timing screen that he's dropped down slightly. He's had a brief issue. It's up in towards Druids. I think we know what's going to happen. It's on corner exit. The rear comes around.
Yeah, just getting on the power a little bit too aggressively for that stage in the corner. And just spins things up and goes around out of turn 2. So a shame there. Has Cooper still behind Hobbs, and there was side-to-side contact there, so I hope there wasn't any damage. Just trying to work out what the championship picture is going to be like in Pro-Am after this, because Adam Grevson is taking a big step towards a possible title here. He's going to gain at least 12 points, and that's before I've worked out who the fastest lap point's going to go to, which is going to take some working out.
Yeah, good luck with that, doing that in real time. I will say that much. What I will just point out is that we have 2 laps left to go, because Matthew Crisp crossed the line with a good 1:30 or so left on the clock itself, and so Nathan Moore, James Dawson, they've got another lap with which to fight. And that applies to everybody else in this field as well, including Child and Cheverton, who will have the 3 full laps, or rather 2 full laps, as they run their way through the final corner.
Yeah, put it this way, in Pro-Am it's going to be a winner-takes-all between Grevson and Cooper at the very least. They may even be tied, depending on what happens, so that could be very, very interesting indeed. James Child's not going to be too far away either, by the way. He's 3rd and is gaining 7 points at least, on, or around 7 points anyway, on Cooper, who's the championship leader at the moment. So that halves his deficit going into the final race. I said lap traffic wouldn't come into it. Well, it has done. Moore has had to skip past another car there over the top at Sheen Curve, but it didn't seem to affect him much that time.
We are on to the final lap of the race, though, because here comes Matthew Crisp to see Barney with the white flag in hand. It's 4 seconds. That was all the margin left on the clock. One more trip around Brands Hatch for the field in the 2023 Radical Esports Cup UK in what is the penultimate round of the championship. Moore and Dawson still duking it out for second as the sun continues to set. I think that Moore might have done just enough to have held on to this, but on board with the number 20 still pushing on the very final lap of the 60-minute sprint.
And he's just trying everything he can to try and get ahead of Nathan Moore for this second place. Will that lap car allow him to get this? Will he just... Oh no, definitely not. The lap car pulling straight out the way there. Doesn't want any part of this battle at all. And fair play to them for that. Staying out the way of Moore and then Dawson. Letting this be a clean battle. And Moore will be very thankful for that, because he should hang on now.
Still got half the lap with which to work. And there has been a swap around, by the way, between David Brown and between Graham Brown. Here's a look at the replay it was just a mistake running wide at the penultimate corner, and that's crucial. That's 4th on track. Valuable points in what has been a race all about the points, and potentially some drivers not wanting any of them. But Matthew Chris wanted maximum points. Great start, great getaway, and takes advantage. It's a new race winner for the first time. Matthew Chris wins in the 2023 Radical Esports Cup UK in the Pro category, and we'll have a bit of a wait to then see the rest of the drivers cross the line. And first up, it will of course be Adam Grevson in the Pro-Am category, with about a 5-second margin to those behind. And then after that, continuing the streak of victories, it will be 3 for 3 for Adam Locke. But in a wild and unpredictable championship round, it was quiet days for those at the front that saw them grab the victory. Adam Grevson almost 5 seconds clear Ewan of those behind.
Yeah, and takes it, or sets up a very, very interesting finale. There is Cheverton going across the line in second place just about. James Child joins them on the podium in Pro-Am. And so 2 no race winners in Pro and in Pro-Am, but not in Am.
And what a story for Adam Locke, right? Started at the very back of the 30-car field, off the track in the opening seconds of the lap to take avoiding action. And a flash of the lights from the back to the front of the Am class. It's Adam Locke on top, making it 3 for 3 and taking a very important step in the championship fight. Championships to be decided 7 days from today as we make our way over to Silverstone. And as the sun sets on Brands Hatch, what a wonderful race as the Radical Esports Cup UK is back in action. Let's run you down through the race results. Let's run you down to the winners' interviews as well to grab some reactions from some of our drivers. 5 seconds the margin at the end. Matthew Chris taking no risks when it came to traffic in those closing laps, as Nathan Moore did just enough to break out in front of James Dawson and hold on to the second step of the podium. Dawson just behind in the finishing stages. John McCutchinson 4th, Robert Woodward 5th, before you then get to the first of the Pro-Ams, where Adam Grevson takes what will be his first victory of the season after slowly working his way forward. 5th, 2nd, and now 1st in terms of race results. Matthew Cheverton finishes 2nd, just in front of James Child, while Croston Woodhatch recovers his way back up into the top 10 overall, while Graham Brown finishes just behind him. David Brown's mistake sees him drop just behind in class, while Adam Locke grabs the win in Am in front of Paul Clark, and then Jake Pitt, the first in the fellow Am category. Martina Ward, final car left on the leading lap, while Ben Bennyworth, Janman Preuss, Stephen Hobbs, Scott Norvesa, and then Ben Cooper make up the rest of the top 20, and still finishes the likes of Darrell Taylor, Stephen Kernick, Peter Reed, and James Smasgale, before you start getting into the used car lot, the likes of Chris Humphreys, Gabriel Yilmaz, Ben Weston, Wayne Basson, Philip Webb, and James Pinkerton to round out the 30 drivers that all got underway. Well, what a race that was. We can head down to catch some of those winning reactions. Ewan O'Leary's first standing by to catch up with our race winner in Pro, Matthew Crisp.
Yep. Overall race winner as well. Matthew, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and good to see you on the top step of the podium for the first time this season as well. What were your expectations going into this one? Because we come into this having seen Nathan Moore win 2 races in a row, and it wasn't especially close on some of those occasions as well. Were you expecting the heights of maybe a race win today?
You know, Brands is probably my favourite track, so if I wasn't going to win here, then I was never going to get a win this season. But yeah, but Nathan has shown so far how quick he is, and yeah, he did a brilliant lap in qualifying. I couldn't do that. I think 18.7 or 18.8 he did. I couldn't beat that, but yeah, he made a small mistake at the first corner, and then I was just constantly just doing the laps. Just the consistency was the main thing out there, and yeah, I'm really happy with my performance.
And what do you think that means for Silverstone now? Is that something you can carry forward now to the final race of the season, because it's only a week away?
Yeah, Nathan finishing 2nd, that makes it a little bit harder for the overall championship. When he just sort of dropped down to 4th after the pit stops, I was like, hopefully he stays there, because then it means it'll be a little bit closer going to Silverstone. But yeah, we'll see. I'll be giving it all my all for sure.
Yeah. It's certainly one we're looking forward to, and hopefully you can go well there as well. Congratulations, Matthew, on a race win here tonight at Brands, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much, Matthew Crisp, the race winner overall and in Pro here tonight from Brands Hatch. We're also now joined by the Pro-Am winner, Adam Grevson, who joins us as well. Welcome in, Adam. Good to have you with us as well. A new race winner in Pro-Am, which is good to see. How are you feeling now after that race with obviously yourself on the top step and your biggest championship rival, Ben Cooper, finishing far down as well?
Yeah, it was a good result tonight. Quite enjoyed it. Think consistency paid off tonight for me.
Absolutely. I think it's one of those things that's so crucial around here. Just what were you feeling about this circuit going into this one? Because it's a very, very tricky one where mistakes are, of course, really heavily punished.
Yeah, I'd had a limited run of practice, to be fair, this week, and a bit of a busy one. So I wasn't too confident going in, so it's a bit of a surprise to take the top step, but I'll take it after a bad race at Donington and a decent one at Snet.
Absolutely. It's certainly a good surprise, there's no doubt about that. Congratulations on the race win here tonight, Adam. We look forward to seeing you again in 1 week's time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Adam Grevson there, the race winner in Pro-Am. And another Adam Locke, joins us now for his third race win in a row in the AM category, of course. Welcome in, Adam. Good to have you with us. Tell us about yourself starting from the very back of the field here tonight. Surely that made things a little bit more difficult, especially early on.
Yeah, it's not like I didn't try to qualify, but yet again, it didn't happen. People are going to think I'm trying to do it on purpose at this rate. No, yeah, it was a good start. Car in front of me went a bit sideways, so I had to take avoiding accident. But overall, yeah, it was a good start. Made up a good few places on the first lap. You know, Radical at Brands Hatch, is there anything better?
Well, absolutely. It's certainly a challenge, there's no doubt about that. And yeah, it's certainly making your races a bit more interesting, starting from the back. There's no doubt about that. I mean, what are you feeling now going into the final race? You've got a big championship lead now. It's not quite settled, I don't think. But you basically just need to be classified, pretty sure, for the final round. If not, you obviously need a pretty lowly result. Even then, you might still be able to get the title. How are you feeling going towards that final race as a result of that big lead that you have?
I'll go to the race with the same mentality that I need to win to make sure I clinch it, but nothing silly. Make sure I finish as well.
Absolutely. Good to hear. Adam, congratulations on another race win here tonight at Brands, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Thanks so much. Adam Locke joins us for his third race win of the season, and congratulations to him. Congratulations to all of the winning drivers as well. But two new ones tonight, Arjuna, which I'm pleased about.
Yeah, especially because we get to chat to some new drivers as well, right? And hear some new voices, learn a little bit more about their races in particular, especially important because it's a short championship and we're back in a week's time. Over to the home of British motorsport, over to Silverstone. Now, I'm not sure what your opinions are about this one, this track, Ewan. I know it somewhat divides opinions. You either love it for the racing it produces, or you find it quite boring sometimes to drive with its newer configurations. Which side of the fence do you fall on?
Yeah, I absolutely love Silverstone. As biased as I am, I know, but it's Motorsport UK, I suppose, so I can say that. It's fine. It's a great circuit, not only for racing, but driving on as well. These Radicals are going to suit it really well as well. The more downforce you have around Silverstone, I find, the more enjoyable you find it. Certainly in my personal opinion. So it's going to be fantastic. Can't believe it's December already, by the way, but there we are. Can't believe it's the end of the season already. It feels like it's gone by in a flash.
Do you want to believe it's almost 2024?
No, stop.
Yeah, I agree. That part is scary, isn't it?
It was about 2019 5 minutes ago. What do you mean?
Ewan, you are how old again?
Thanks for that. I'm 21 now.
Yeah, time starts to move faster the older you get, I swear. I think part of it is just because, Ewan, the older you get, a year is less of a percentage of your life. You know what I mean?
Very funny.
No, I'm genuinely meaning. Ewan, you're going to see this as you get older. Time flies even faster. You think it's flying now. Oh, boy. It will be past you before you even know it. And this 2023 Radical Esports Cup UK is almost done as well. We finally have some new race winners to add into the equation. And it does kind of set up an exciting championship finale in 7 days' time. A quick turnaround for the drivers, but in this Radical SR10, you better be prepared for things to be coming at you quickly. I mean, just learn from Adam Locke. Start at the back, off the track in the opening corners, still come through to win your class and come out on top for the 3rd time this season. For the team behind the scenes, though, thank you so much for joining us. For Ewan O'Leary alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati. We'll see you in 7 days' time to crown our 2023 Radical Esports Cup UK winners. But Matthew Crisp, Adam Locke and Adam Grevson all leave Brands Hatch with the satisfaction of a job well done.